Hello and welcome to the Publicly Challenged Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Oswald, and I hope you join me on my quest for knowledge to become a better public land hunter, angler, and forager. Stick with this and who knows, maybe we will learn something together. All right, real quick before we get started on the show, I'm just going to talk about Treeline Academy. You've heard me say it. I can't even tell you how many times. Mark Livesay is treelineacademy.net. That's treelineacademy.net. Sign up. Use the promo code PC2020. Save yourself $20. Can't say it enough. It's awesome, amazing, most comprehensive e-scouting course out there. Check it out for yourself. Sign up. Use promo code PC2020. Also, check out Base Map. I've been using it. I used it all hunting season. I got to say, it's way more affordable than a lot of other apps, and you get all 50 states with it. So check it out. Sign up. Use the promo code PC25 at checkout. Save yourself 25% off of your purchase. You can only use it online, so don't try and use it on the app. You won't get the discount. But I got to say, it's got a ton of cool features. Their smart markers are awesome. For a guy that doesn't keep a journal like myself, it's pretty cool because I could see, what the weather was, everything. As long as I got somewhat of a cell phone service, it'll pick up all that kind of stuff and give me a bunch of data that I normally wouldn't record. And it's really neat to go back and find that stuff. I drop a pin, say I sighted a buck. And if I keep dropping pins every time I see that buck, I can kind of compare and see what the weather conditions and everything were that maybe can give me some clues on how I found that buck. So check out Base Map for yourself, sign up, and let's get to the show. All right, so I'm sitting here and I am talking to Guy Duplantier.
There it is, man. And third time's the charm.
So, Guy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, and we'll kind of roll into this thing.
All right. Guy Duplantier. I always say I'm just an average dude, man. Host of Western Contours podcast, hunter, father, husband, just a blue collar dude, man, just chasing my passions and having fun and just trying to enjoy every moment, man. That's it.
Yeah. Some might say you have the podcasting voice of an angel, but
I get that a lot. I have the voice, or what do they say? What is it? The face for podcasting as well.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to take the bait on that one.
I appreciate that, man. There's a lot of people that don't mind. They run with it, but that's all right.
So, Guy, the reason I wanted to have you on, and we kind of talked a little bit about this before the podcast, but it was just kind of the future of hunting, the direction of just politics and the way they're influencing hunting, and just kind of your thoughts on where it's going and stuff. So I kind of want to start out with the whole California, they started out initially with their trapping ban. And then from there they moved to bear hunting, right?
Well, so we started out early 90s with mountain lions. So they banned mountain lion hunting, and then they went into trapping. Then they banned bobcat hunting. They went after pigs. I want to say that was 2018, maybe early 2019, where they came in with this sly bill under the guise of, hey, hunters, we're going to give you a permit, a discounted permit. You can hunt as many pigs as you want. Charles Whitwam at Shadow Trekkers Adventures actually just did a podcast with them. He got a call from a reporter saying that, hey, we want to talk about this bill that's out with pig hunting. And the reporter basically gave him the background, like, hey, this is a Humane Society sponsored thing. So in a nutshell, the bill wasn't to help hunters or give you a special rate on a pig tag. It was to basically ban any type of enclosed hunting. High fence, 3-strand barbed wire, white picket fence. It didn't matter. If there was any type of enclosure around land, you couldn't hunt on it. And then, they came after our bear opportunity this year with SB 252, um, which was thwarted right away. I mean, the shock and awe of the Blitzkrieg petition signing was just phenomenal, man. It was an eye opener, I think, for a lot of people, a lot of people. You know, our air quote conservation groups, and that I don't mean that as any jab at them. Um, it was unbelievable. 28,000 signatures in like 3 or 4 days. The bill was pulled by its sponsor. Um, I mean, it doesn't mean that that bill is not going to be reintroduced down the road, but it was phenomenal to see it. The effort across the board. I mean, you're talking crossing state lines. I've never seen that amount of support come in so fast, especially to us here in California. Right, we're kind of the sleeper state, if you will, in terms of Western hunting.
Yeah.
You know, our politics, unfortunately, our politics have put a stigma on the entire state. And a lot of it is for good cause, but it is a great Western hunting opportunity state. But it was phenomenal, man, to see, you know, folks up in Idaho were podcasting at Jim Huntsman. He's podcasting about, you know, about the bear ban and just the effort that came across from everyone. I mean, Charles was on the phone or DM and Jim Shockey. It was just phenomenal to see everyone come together like that. But again, like I said, it was an eye opener to how we need to fight this stuff, how we need to go against these. I don't want to say antis, right? Because that's kind of a weird realm, that the animal rights groups that are pushing all this stuff, right? They are anti-hunting. Um, but it was just, it's like the new path forward. And if it's not the new path forward, then we're doing something absolutely 110% wrong.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, how long do you think it'll be before they try and slide it into some other type of bill or something like that? I mean, isn't that kind of, it seems like the politics, the direction it goes, if they can't get it passed by throwing, you know, 100 things at the wall and seeing if one sticks, they'll just bury it in something else. And I've noticed that with a lot of other things too. I mean, if you look at Utah right now, they're wanting to ban trail cameras and baiting. And I don't know, maybe I can understand the baiting if they had like a really large chronic waste disease problem or something like that to where it made sense. But from my understanding, it isn't. It's more of a fair chase, they're calling it, to where it's, you know, under the guise of or whatever, a fair
Right.
chase, right? You know.
You know, the hard part about that is who's sponsoring the bill. Are they looking at the science? Are they looking at the data behind this stuff as they're writing these bills up? If that's what they're doing, then I, it's going to sound horrible to some folks, but if they're looking at the science and the data, and us as a demographic, as hunters, if that's what we're yelling, then we need to support that,
Yes.
right? If we can look at it and say, hey, there's just cause for this, then absolutely let's take the measures. But like we had said earlier, for most of this stuff, it's a death by 1,000 cuts,
Yep.
right? Let's take away bits and pieces, and it's always like a method of take, right? They go after trapping, and that what they would consider the most inhumane ways to, you know, in that instance, capture an animal. Bow hunting, they went after bow hunting in the 90s here in California, um, because it's the, you know, the method of take things. So that's, to me, that's all it's about. It's about stopping the opportunity, stopping our ability to go chase these animals in any way, shape, or form. If they can hinder that enough, our numbers are going to decline. And when those numbers decline, you don't have the financial support, the revenue for these, you know, fish and game agencies, wildlife departments. So we start losing opportunity. And I think that's where a lot of it is. These folks have been at it since the mid 70s. Um, they're very, very educated, and they learn and learn and learn. And they're relentless. They're absolutely relentless in their pursuit to take away our passion.
So I'm kind of new to the whole Western hunting thing, you know. Don't really have a whole lot of points, haven't been applying to a lot of different places, but the way things are turning out, I mean, like if you look at Idaho, you're starting to see that that game has changed, and it's either you're going to have points, or I mean, even the over counter, the process, a lot of people didn't get their tag they wanted. You can't buy it over the counter anymore. And then you look at states like Montana, and then they're trying to take 60% of the non-resident tags and give them to outfitters. I mean, it just seems like opportunities are dwindling and dwindling away. Like, I mean, did you ever think within like your career of applying and doing all these different draws and stuff over the years that you'd ever, I mean, truly see anything like this? Or
No, I think a lot of us are kind of taken back by this blitzkrieg, right? And I was saying that to someone a couple weeks ago. Is I never imagined that I would be fighting the front lines, if you will, of my opportunity. I always thought that that was going to be for the future generations of hunting, right? My kids, their kids. I don't know if you know who Diego Otero is, Maine BM Addiction. Those guys, that's the ones that I thought I would be fighting for, not my own opportunity. And that's why I was saying that this last attempt with this bear ban was such a wake up call. Um, and it's not just the bear ban. I mean, New Mexico, like you said, Montana, Utah, Arizona. I mean, it's just crazy, man. The influx of stuff, and I think that's part of their game, right? This new administration is in. They think they're going to have this backing, um, and let's just go for it and see what flies, see what sticks, see what kind of support we can get, or see who's not looking, and they know our complacency, right? As a demographic, and I'm not scared to say it. If I piss somebody off, oh well. We holler about what we love so much, but as a demographic, we do piss all to really stand up and fight for it, right? Because we'll sit back, and because you hunt trad, or you are a muzzleloader hunter and I'm a long range hunter, I won't support that. And as even with the trappers, right? You look, a lot of
yep.
hunters don't support trappers. And then I learned a week or two ago, talking to somebody, that bird hunters that run dogs don't really want to support trappers because it's a danger to their dogs. And the problem is our complacency and our arrogance for our tribalism, right? That tribe, we feel like we're in the Sitka tribe or the Kuyu tribe or whatever the hell it is. That's what's going to kill us, right? We're our own worst enemy when it comes to that. And that's why this push that Charles started is so important. Uh, when you look at the conservation groups, right? And we had a Zoom call with some of them, and they were like, "This is phenomenal! Like, you sidestepped everything, got all this support, and just blew us out of the water because we were playing the long game." So they were waiting on this bill to pass, and if that bill passed, they were just going to go sue about the bill. Well,
Yeah.
to look at like PETA, for example, right? 150 million to 200 million dollars a year. Yes, they have bills to pay, but that's their game. Their game is politics. We're not in that game. We don't have folks at that capital like that, with all that support. You got the Cheering brothers. Yeah, I won't even go there right now. That's another crazy one, right? These guys are in the hunting industry. They're buying up pieces of the hunting industry. And if you look at what they're supporting, you go to, they're spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that now we're paying for, and going and supporting these causes, if you will, or these people that are against our demographic, our way of life, and what we're doing. We got to open, man. I excuse my language for your listeners.
Go
We got to
ahead.
wake the fuck up as a demographic and stop being complacent and arrogant, as we're not going to lose this. Right now, we're swinging for the fences, and so are they. And they're way smarter than we are. They got way more money than we do. So it's time to wake up.
I mean, that's kind of a tough one, like you said, though. I mean, because we are so divided, or you just people tend to get in their comfort zone, their world, and that's all they see or know. And I mean, that even ties into like the whole Second Amendment as well. I find it so many times, a lot of people call them the FUDs or whatever, where they're duck hunters, and there might be something that's proposed that bans certain semi-automatic weapons or semi-automatic firearms. I won't even say weapons, because obviously it's a tool. It's how you choose to use that tool. But you find these people that are like, oh, well, that doesn't affect me. It doesn't matter. That'll never pass. But the problem is like we said earlier, it's a death by 1,000 cuts. You're going to throw something at the wall, see if it sticks. And if just one piece of that or somebody, their support or backing for one part of a bill, they're going to change it. They're going to amend it. And next thing you know, certain firearms, and it could be semi-automatic, anything, or magazines, or like the current proposal, which you never thought you'd see something like that come out of Texas, the Senate Bill 127, which is insanity. I mean, first of all, anybody that's ever visited any type of doctor that it has a psychiatric background, they tend to be kind of biased towards hunters and outdoorsmen and fire owners in general. Not all of them. I'm not going to put them in a box, but there's quite a few of them that have been radicalized by certain institutions that just makes it to where it's biased from the start, and you have to pay this person to get a background check just to purchase a firearm when they've automatically got a bias against you. It's just, It's insanity. And where do we go from there? I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Like,
it goes right back. That goes right back to what I was saying, right? And you're talking about, not supporting the FUDs, right? And you hear that, the FUDs, Easties, Westies, all that. Wake the F up. I'm going to say it again, right? A death by 1,000 cuts. We're going to take everything away. If they can get something here, or if they can get something in Pennsylvania, if they can get something in Virginia, if they can get something in Maryland, they have precedence, right? They set precedence in another state. They're going to take that to some uneducated, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in terms of wildlife management, in terms of hunting, some uneducated, assemblyman or senator that has no idea, right? And they're going to present that and say, look at the precedents we have here, and look at the good we're doing. And they're what do we hear? Trophy hunting, right? People don't understand that folks are eating bear. People don't. California, you go on a hike here and you're looking at a deer and people are standing there staring at you like, why are you just staring at that mountain? They don't even realize that they're walking by deer. They don't even realize that there's mountain lion tracks next to where they're walking, and it was probably there an hour or two before them. So you have this influx of just naivety that we're fighting against, but we want to sit here and go back and forth with each other and banter over BS, and we're losing opportunity. And if you think that at this point, right, and this is why California, the bear thing was such a shock to me. If you think that what happens in California doesn't affect you and you live in Utah, or if you live in Pennsylvania or you live in Georgia, and what's going on in Texas doesn't affect you, you're sadly mistaken. They're coming, and they're going to do it state by state, and they're going to set precedents, and they're going to get the bans, and every state they do it, they're going to use it as precedents to go to the next state, to the next naive person that has no idea. The battle, our first battle, in my opinion, is with ourselves. How do we step up and come together and value our lifestyle and make that more important than tribalism, or more important than I hunt trad, or I use mechanical and you use a fixed? That's our biggest battle right there. Because if we can get past that, then we can stand, dude, the petition, 28,000 signatures, 3 days, $18,500, 3 days. If folks come together across the nation like that and take this seriously, crossing state lines, then we have a fighting chance. We have an absolute fighting chance.
Yeah. I think it's kind of a good segue here into the next part I kind of want to talk about, is the whole changing the narrative thing.
Here comes the language.
But I mean, there's such, especially when you've got, and I'm just going to say asshats, because there's a lot of them out there that are truly just moronic, the things they do, the way they portray themselves. I mean, prime example is, and I hate to say it, and I don't think it's anybody local, but like one of my favorite fishing spots that I go to, I'm constantly picking up trash there, I honestly believe it's people coming down that go stop at the store, they buy the stuff on the way down, think they're going somewhere that's just a great place, and they don't treat it like it's their own, though. They treat it like it's somebody else's. They leave it there. It bugs me every time I'm picking up garbage and just throwing it out. But it's like, between that and taking pictures with a duck hanging out of your mouth, or I mean, just the disrespectful stuff that these anti-hunters see.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going, well, look at these people. They're savages. They're savages. Why do we want to support that? And I mean, it just drives me nuts, but I know you've got your thoughts on that too.
Ooh, man. Okay, so where do I start with that one? Okay, so I'm going to try and keep my thought path as clear as possible. I'm scatterbrained as hell when I get excited. So with the trash thing, that drives me nuts, dude. If I see a little tear of one of those little first aid kit aspirins as I'm on a trail, drives me nuts. I mean, stepped over a log 2 years ago in Colorado on an elk hunt, and that's one of the memories, is looking down and seeing that little paper aspirin thing, being pissed because I didn't see hikers, I didn't see mountain bikers, but I saw hunters, right? And like you said, the ass hats, yeah, it's an aspirin thing, it's paper. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna leave a beer can, you're gonna leave a water bottle, right? That stuff all affects us. I will say, because of COVID, the amount of trash that I've seen locally, because everything else was closed except the national forest, has been, whew, I mean, I lost the word, like ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, ridiculous. And the worst part is there'll be a bear safe 5 yarder there, right? And all they got to do is put it in 10 feet away, man. You got diapers and McDonald's, and it's just, it's horrible, right? I'm not going to associate every piece of trash with a hunter. I'd like to think that we're better than that at this point, but I do agree that there are those asshats. There's plenty of them, that don't care enough about it. But that's the folks that we got to reach in our demographic. That's the folks that we have to make them understand. And I was, and to a point, I was the same way, right? I want to post what I want to post. If you don't like it, don't look. But social media has come so far beyond that, right? Where this exposure is to all these people. Yeah, we're choosing to be there. They're choosing to be there. They can, choose to stay away from it, but that's not their game. And we post something that is off-putting to them. They're going to use that. They're going to use it for fuel for their fire. And look at this, he's smiling ear to ear. Dude, so I had Amy Hall doing guest episodes, right? My women episodes a year or so ago. And somebody got on and attacked her. And I forget what it was. It was a pretty mild thing. I don't remember. Anywho, so I go to this guy's thing. I'm working, and I'm like, okay, I'll tell Amy, I'll deal with this later, right? Let me respond to him. You can if you want, but let me get this guy. So I go on this guy's page, dude. This guy is behind a pig. Okay, he's behind a pig, and that's all I'm gonna say. Just imagine the rest behind a pig, and you see something like that, and you're like, what the hell? This is not a representation of what I love. This is some outshoot a-hole, right? And then, like, the duck's hanging out of the mouth, and man, if we do not wake up, we are going to kill ourselves. Again, we are our own worst enemy. Our arrogance to things like that, right? It doesn't matter. It does matter. We are out flipping numbered. Everything we do now, it matters. If you want to take a picture of you mocking, humping a pig, show that to your hillbilly redneck, whatever boys you got, and keep that in front of the liquor barn, right? Yep. Don't put that out there as a representation for all of us. It's a detriment to all of us. That's going to overshadow 100,000 pictures of someone being respectful for the animal that they care for, right? Yep. I mean, that's a weird thing for those people to hear, and they don't understand it. They don't try and understand it when you got some dude humping the back of a freaking pig. Yep. It's like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, dude, what are you doing? And it's honestly, I think it's getting to the point where we really, like, I've been doing it. If I have a grip and grin, if there's blood, I'm gonna try and I'll put dirt on the blood. If I can't do that, then I'll Photoshop the blood out, because it's important for me, one, to represent our demographic in the best light that I can, not for our demographic or not to our demographic, but to the people that are outside of our demographic that don't understand what we do. We're so far removed from nature, period, right? As a society, that we have to do things that make them a little bit comfortable, right? They don't like to see Bambi or, this bear over here lay dead on the ground. Every deer you shoot is Bambi. You know what I mean? They don't realize that Bambi's
Yeah.
dad was this big giant, 6-pointer. So man, it's just, I don't know. If we don't change our behavior, we're going to lose this.
Yeah.
And that goes from the social media postings, just to how we respond to people, the conversation that we have when it comes to talking about hunting. We talk about filling the freezer, right? And people want to leave it at that. Well, I eat it all. Okay, but that's not enough. Let's talk about sustainable wildlife numbers. Let's talk about filling the freezer. But you also have to let people understand that you're not just going to kill to eat. You're going to kill to manage, to sustain, to have biodiversity in everything, not just deer, but bear and mountain lion and bobcat, elk, whatever it is across the board. We need to have a conversation that presents the entire argument, and it's a little bit of a long-winded conversation, and I think that's where a lot of us get trapped up. But the field to plate deal that we always want to throw out and just leave it at that, and if you don't like it, then piss off. It's not good enough anymore. It's not good enough.
Yeah. It's speaking of all the trolling and everything. So I don't know if you remember, if you saw, but I posted a picture of one of my deer I took this year, and I took my own personal grip and grin, but I never shared it. I never once this year did I share a grip and grin or anything like that. I tried to keep it somewhat artistic, somewhat just, to where it wasn't offensive to anybody. Same thing because of the whole trying to just make it to where it's okay to everybody without, I mean, you see things where it's a person that is a grip and a grin and it gets censored, or you show a bloody arrow and it gets censored on social media, due to offensive content or whatever. So I tried to portray it in like a positive light, and I wrote a little blurb underneath it and basically said, I'm not showing a grip and grin, but people never truly understand the work put into this, the hours that I spent, at the beginning of the season all the way through in order to make this one magical moment happen. And I felt like it cleansed my soul. And it was almost all positive feedback. It was probably the most likes I'd ever gotten on a photo. I mean, just, a lot of support and response. And then you had like 5 people that totally just couldn't stand it. Hated the fact that I was on their post and that, it cleanses your soul. How does it cleanse your soul? What are you talking about? You're just a killer. All these different things, right? And so I responded positively to every single person that made a comment, which I know you probably shouldn't even give them the time of day, but I really wanted to. And I never looked at their profile or anything. I didn't care. I wanted to portray it in a positive light. But my wife, on the other hand, was like, oh my God, how can these people, how can they say these things? They're so then she starts looking at them. She's like, oh, this lady's, a cat lady. That
They're all Europeans.
Yeah. Like
they're Euros.
No, these ones we were actually here in the United States, and they,
no.
Yeah, actually every single one of them.
And I see a lot of the Euros, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. But so like, And I responded to him, and then I think even I'm trying to think, it was Sam Soholt even like or DM me on the side or commented on my thing, because I asked the lady, I said, well, if you feel that way or you want to talk about it, I said I'd be more than happy to sit down and have a conversation with you and maybe try and change your perspective, or at least let you understand my perspective. And she never, ever said a single thing after that. But there was other trolls that jumped on it, but never would she even want to hear it. And I was willing. I told her, I said, look, I have a podcast. That's what this is. You can come on and we can have a conversation, actual conversation, and no response. They didn't even want to hear anything. And it boggles, my mind that they want to have things, and it's just one way though. It's not even, it's not even like, hey, let's sit down and have a conversation anymore. Everybody is so divided that I think, like you were saying, I mean, somehow we need to figure out a way to where we can all come together so we actually have a voice, and then try and figure out how to actually sit down and talk. But I mean, there's just polarization everywhere these days that
Oh yeah,
it's
buddy.
I mean, it goes far beyond political beliefs, even though a lot of that ties into, people's personal beliefs as well. But I mean, I don't even know
It's the
where
it's the constant feed, right? So I mean, you saw it with all this COVID mess and the uh with Trump, and this Biden stuff, and you're 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 fed so much all the time, right? Uh, you're gonna be swayed, whatever side you're leaning to. At some point, you're just gonna fall over because it's just a constant feed, man. There's no way to get away from it. Um, I don't know. I don't know how you battle that, right? How do you? For me, with last year, it was like turn off the dang news. Um, and I think that's a lot of it is people still believe that, I hate saying it, but mainstream media, they still think that that's journalism. Real journalism is nowhere near mainstream media.
no.
That shit is gone. It doesn't exist. So these, like you said, everybody's so polarized, and it's the constant feed, the constant feed, constant feed. You can't help but to think that that's right. That's all you hear, and you really have to buck down and say, okay, I need to look at both sides of this coin and do my own research. And we don't do that anymore.
No.
It's the weirdest thing. And it's like, when did Lucas's opinion begin to offend me so bad that I don't even want to look at the guy anymore? Right? What happened to mutual respect? Agree to disagree type stuff, right? Where the hell did that go? Where
It
did that
doesn't.
go? You know what I mean? It's like, what in the world have we come to as a society when you can't respect someone else's opinion? Even if you don't, I don't care if you disagree with it 99.9, 110%. That's their opinion. It's their right. It's their life. Why is that a problem? Like with the antis, go be an anti hunter. I'll respect that. I won't complain about it. You go support whatever you want to support, but I just expect the same in return, right? That's all I ask is the same in return. If you want to be able to talk, I want to be able to talk, and we should both be able to listen and respect either side of it, agree or not, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent on certain areas. I don't know where it's gone, man. It is.
I'll
It
tell you one thing
is.
I've done though,
Whew,
Guy. I have actually taken social media off of my phone.
that's
I
good
don't
on you.
I don't have it anymore. I keep it. Well, I still have it. Obviously, I have it. And actually, I kind of weighed the decision at one point to just get rid of it entirely, but with the podcast, it doesn't make too much sense to do that. But I just
Hmm.
almost wanted to distance myself from it. But so what I did is I bought a tablet and I keep it on the tablet. So obviously, my screen time has gone down drastically. I'm more present at home, I feel like, with my kids and my family. And now I have to actually physically turn on a tablet, go on the social media, and it's either once or twice a day, in the morning or in the evening, and that's about it. After
That's
that,
good,
I
man.
almost purge it out of my head just to try and get through the day to day without having to be bombarded by all the different stuff going on.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's like they had what was that? Parlor, the
Yeah.
new
I was
app, right?
sad. It's back. I will tell you it's back.
And so they had. Well, here's the thing. So Parlor came out, and I was
Hmm.
like, oh, okay, let me see. It might be better. It's going to be unbiased. I got on Parlor, dude, and I lasted for maybe 3 or 4 days, and it was no better than Instagram, in my opinion. The only difference was it was the right side of things instead of the left side of things. And here we are on the right side of things as we think, and we're going to say that we're not sheep, or these people only believe what they believe. Man, I got on that app, dude, and and I'm fairly conservative, right? I'm in California. I'm fairly freaking conservative, dude. I got on that app and I'm like, fuck this. This is no better than the crap I was seeing over there. I just started unfollowing fuckers on Instagram that I was seeing the stuff I didn't want to see.
So I don't really post anything political or anything. I mean, I have a parlor. I don't follow anybody that is political, especially like on Instagram or anything like that. I don't want that to be a representation of my hunting. I don't want it to be a representation of the industry, and I don't want it to be a representation of the podcast. I just feel that too many people, and I mean, I'm not knocking anybody if they have, political beliefs, because obviously everybody does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's based upon their values or something they've been told, whatever it is, they've got political values that follow. And even these days, I don't even know where my political values lie anymore, because it seems either side, what they want to do is fight. But that's a different story for a different time. But I just I can't do it anymore to
I don't blame
watch
you.
that stuff,
Yep.
And if I can understand if it's something that is like a firearms bill or something that's hunting or something like that, I'll more than happy post about that, because I want to, preserve what little shred of what we used to have. I want to keep it, and I want to continue and try and, guard the gate, so that other people can continue to do the same thing that I truly love, and I want to see my children do the same. But yeah, I definitely don't. I just don't post that stuff anymore, and I don't follow it. So I will say I do have a parlor still. It's back on for anybody that's listening, and give me a follow on there.
Shameless, and I'm the same way, man. Like, your views are your views. If that's your political view, and if you want to scream and shout about it, I just can't. I couldn't take it, man. And I'm to a point in my life where, like, anything negative, I just lop it off. I don't need it, man. We go through enough stuff on a day to day, right? We got to go to work. We have stress from that. You got to make this drive. You got life issues. I don't need somebody else's, call it propaganda, for the lack of a better word. At the end of the day, do the politicians even give a flying rat's ass about us? I mean,
don't think so.
You know what I mean?
I really
can't look on
don't.
either side now and say that they really give a crap, right? But I can care about you, and I can care about the guy that lives next door to me, and I can care about the person that lives down the street, and I can be the best person I can be for the people that I'm around, right? And that's where I'm at. It's like, here's your politics. Folks can't see that when I'm trying to watch
Those
my
middle
mouth.
fingers, but
but that's where we should be at, right? Is how are we treating each other? And man, with that outlook on things, you just feel better. You just feel better when you start cutting that stuff out and you start worrying about your treatment of other people. The rest of this stuff doesn't matter, man. Screw the politics. If you're a good person, you're a good person. I don't have to agree with your views, but I'm going to treat you the best way I can. And if you crap on that, then I learn my lesson and I move on. I just lop it off.
Yep.
Man, life's so much easier that way.
No,
so much easier, man.
I truly agree. I mean, I find it funny. People just don't have the decency anymore. They don't have compassion. They don't have, and I don't know, maybe somehow it's been beaten out of them by just getting scammed or hustled or whatever it may be. But I'm still the kind of guy that if I see anybody, man, woman, whoever, on the side of the road, I stop, ask them if they need any help. In fact, the other morning, we've been getting a lot of snow here. I stopped on the way to work, and there was even an officer there, and I said, "You got a wrecker for them, or do they need a pull?" I was going to pull them out. It's just, you don't see that enough anymore. And I think, like my buddy Johnny Mac says, you can't outgive good, and just keep giving till it hurts. And you can, hopefully you change somebody enough to where they want to make a difference too.
Yeah. I mean, if you can affect one at a time, dude, right? And get somebody to think, and pay that forward at some point, you've done something. The problem is the influx of BS, and everybody's so self-focused, right? and rightfully so. Life is what it is. It's expensive to live in certain places. Work is demanding. Family is demanding. There's a separation of family that stresses people out, right? How many folks sit down and have dinner with the wife and the kids, on a nightly basis and pray together and things like that still. So I get it, but we really got to do some introspective looks on what all this means across the board. And that's one of the reasons that I love the hunting demographic so much, right? Some of the best people that you'll ever meet are hunters. And I think part of that is that connection to nature, that that humbling that nature brings, right? The belittling of yourself through the mountain and through chasing that animal, that you never lay down, right? I think that the values that come out of that, the values that come out of the circle of life is, getting your hands bloody. It gives you a respect for life. And I think people don't think about that. It's the influx of, I got to have, I got to buy, I got to work this to have this much money. Um, I, we've just, not even just in hunting, dude. I think just across the board, we've just lost sight of the stuff that's really important, right? And that's being a freaking good human being. Man, we're chasing that, and that torch is going out, and it seems like it's going out faster than ever.
Faith and family. I mean, that's truly what I mean. If you want, I mean, the basis of this country was founded upon those mores, of society and values, and there has been an erosion. There has been a decline of that. And I do think that's drastically affected people and the way they act, the way, mass consumerism. And I mean,
Jesus.
even the hunting industry is, privy to that. And especially, I've had a few conversations about social media. And I mean, if you're not like us doing a podcast or whatever, you're probably trying to plug a product and people are eating it up. I mean, it's just crazy how things are going in the direction. And it seems like it's going more towards mass consumerism than even before. And I mean, it's kind of a direction people just need to connect. I do feel though, within the hunting industry that, gosh, I've made, a lot of great friends now, whether or not COVID prevents me from ever going and going to a hunt expo and like sitting down at a table with you or whoever, I mean, I hope that's not the case. And one day, I can actually shake hands with all the people that I've talked to and see them or whatever. But social media, man, I mean, it's done good things too. It's made connections.
Oh, yeah.
You and I have kind of talked quite a bit before, and
yeah.
It's kind of crazy how all that works, but you almost need to have like a bullshit filter.
You have to. You absolutely have to. That's the thing, right? If you're not weighing that stuff and you're worried about, 5,000 versus 10,000, then you're just going to take whatever comes, right? But if you're weighing that a little bit and you're using your good judgment and you're looking at how someone's representing something that you say you love, how they represent themselves, you don't have to agree with them again, but you don't have to flood yourself with the BS. Put some value on it. Like you said, right? Have some values. Hold yourself to a standard. Hold the people around you to a standard. We're all going to rise up a little bit. It just, holy,
yeah.
we could go on about this for hours and hours. I'm in California, bro. So I look around me and I'm moving a lot for work, right? So I manage quite a few jobs in the LA basin area. And I'm looking around constantly. If I do 75 to 150 miles in a day, just in LA, right? That's a work day for me. And I look around and shock and awe. Absolute shock and awe. I've been here my entire life. And I think in the last, I'm going to call it last 4 years, last 5 years, it's just, man, oh man. It has just, they've been hitting it out of the park with the horse shit. They are hitting every curveball, every 100-mile-an-hour fastball coming to sliders. It don't matter, man. They're knocking it out of the park. And when you see them, it's unbelievable. Some of the stuff, man. We've just lost sight.
So let's switch it up to a positive note. I want to ask you, how did Californians react when the capacity ban was lifted by the Supreme Court. Because in my mind, because this was kind of, before the ammo shortages, the people paying double for firearms just because. And how did they react to that? I mean, were they going nuts? Everybody just buying everything off the shelves, or was there a big flooding?
What's ammo? What is that? I don't even remember what it is, dude. You can't. I don't think I've bought ammo probably in a good year. Thank goodness I didn't have to.
Right.
But what's funny with all that, and yes, they were buying everything. Like you'd go into a gun store, and dude, you were lucky to see 2 side-by-side shotguns. But the funny part about it was these are people who were anti 2A. Oh no, what do you need a gun for? What do you need a gun for? You don't need a gun. What do you mean? What do you mean? And it's like, well, I had one of my foremen, and I had this conversation with him for like 3 years. I kid you not. And I'm like, man, this firearms, we talk hunting. I even took him, a buddy of mine had arrowed a buck, and I called him up and I said, hey, why don't you go with me and just show you part of it, right? He's like, oh man, that's pretty cool, give him venison and whatnot. Anywho, when all this stuff hit and the riots and all that were going, hey boss, I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? He goes, hey, I've been in line at Turner's for 3 hours. I'm about to make it through the door. What should I get? I go, honestly, at this point, whatever you can, buddy. He called me when he got in, and he was like, they have one shotgun. And I said, well, there you go. Buy it. Just, buy the shotgun. If you're worried about home protection, you're not going to get any better. But yeah, it was crazy to see it, man. Crazy to see it.
No, but I mean, was everybody excited? I think maybe you missed what I said, but was everybody dancing in the streets when the capacity ban got lifted for the state of California?
Oh no, because it went right back in the Supreme Court.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So they challenged it.
Oh yeah. It's been stuck for, what has that been? Shit, that's been over a year now. It's been stuck. Yeah. That was, I think that was going into 2020. It was that August, I think. So maybe that was 2019, but yeah, it never changed.
Man. Cause here I was thinking that you guys actually got it. And when I was looking at like mags before there was the mass buying for like the election / pandemic, all that stuff, I was looking and I was like, oh man, there's not a whole lot of mags available. Oh, California must be buying them all up.
No, dude, that, you know what? And I have to look and see where that's at, but yeah, that hit, and it went, they took that right to court. They sued on that immediately, which was phenomenal to me because they are lightning fast. So yeah, that's still sitting. I'll have to follow up, but I believe it's still sitting. Nothing's changed.
Well, now I feel bad for you. I'm sorry, Guy.
You know what? When I started rifle hunting, I still have it. My Thompson Center, my Encore, and that's a single shot, man. So I learned that if you can't get it done with one shot, you probably shouldn't be shooting it anyway, right? So it's a lot of time behind that weapon of choice, man. So I don't need many.
Don't say that. We all do, whether we want it or not. We all do. So, but no, yeah, it's been good talking to you, man. I don't want to keep you all night, but can you tell people before we go where they can find you, find your podcast, all that good stuff? Absolutely, man. Western Contours podcast, just about every single platform you can stream podcast on, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, Apple, Google, blah, 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 blah. Get on westerncontours.com, get stream there. I got a little stuff. I don't really keep up the website like I should. But it's there. Check it out. Hit me up on Instagram at Western Contours. Then I have what I call my personal page, but I post more on Western Contours, and it's Guy_Western Contours. Nice. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it, man. I'm honored when I'm asked, but yeah, it's been a long time coming, so we'll have to do it on my side, and then yeah, because I want to be able to share that logo on my side of it. You got one of the best logos in the game, dude. I always tell you that. I'm a broken record with it, but that thing is that's a sick logo. I love it. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. Yeah, all right. You have a good night. You too, brother. Thanks. And once again, thank you so much for listening to the Publicly Challenged podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please subscribe on whatever platform it is you're listening to. Also, if you could leave a review, that would help us out. And you can check us out on Instagram or at publiclychallenged.com. And once again, thank you so much for listening to the show.